Today, we're going to dive into the dark art of cellular corruption. We often think of cancer as just a bunch of rogue cells multiplying like crazy. But that's really only half the story. The real secret to its success isn't just what it is, but what it does to everything around it, how it turns the very architecture of our bodies into an accomplice for its own destructive heist.
It's really the ultimate question, isn't it? How does one single rogue cell manage to conquer an entire body? To become truly deadly, it has to overcome the body's whole security system. It's got to break out, build its own supply lines, and then create highways to invade distant organs. So how on earth does it pull off such an elaborate conquest?
Well, to understand the crime, you first have to see the pristine, orderly world it destroys. On the left, you've got healthy tissue. It's like a well-organized city. Everything is structured, controlled, in its place. But then you look to the right, and you see the chaos of cancerous tissue. The architecture's gone. It's a total free-for-all. The heist is officially on, and the first step is to dismantle all that beautiful order from the inside out.
To pull this off, that cancer cell has to defeat the very foundation of this cellular city. And that foundation, it has a name, the extracellular matrix.
Okay, so think of the ECM as the concrete, the steel beams, and all the communication lines running through our body. It's this incredibly intricate web of proteins, things like collagen and laminin, that holds our cells together, gives our tissues their shape, and lets cells talk to each other. In our little heist analogy, the ECM is the bank's entire security system. We're talking the walls, the vault, the guard patrols, all rolled into one.
The thing is, the ECM's normal job is designed to prevent exactly what cancer wants to do. It anchors cells, right, so they stay put. It acts as a physical barrier to keep cells from just wandering off. It even stores and releases important growth signals, but only when they're needed for controlled stuff, like healing a cut. It's a system that is built for stability and for order.
But every great heist starts with an inside job, and for a cancer cell, that means breaking the most fundamental rule of cellular society.
You see, healthy cells, they have manners. They practice something called contact inhibition. When a cell touches its neighbors on all sides, it gets a signal to stop dividing. It's the body's polite way of saying, okay, we're full here, no more room. But cancer cells, oh, they are the ultimate party crashers. They completely ignore that signal. They lose their contact inhibition and just keep dividing, piling right on top of each other. The very first alarm has just been disabled. And this visual illustrates that first phase perfectly. On the left, you can see a normal duct, maybe in the breast or colon, with that perfect single layer of well-behaved cells. But then on the right, you've got what's called a carcinoma in situ. Now, in situ just means in its original place. The cells are multiplying wildly, but look, they're still contained inside that original duct. They haven't broken out yet. The mob has formed inside the bank, but the vault door is still holding firm.
But what happens next? This is the moment a contained problem turns malignant. It's time for the great escape. You see, every single layer of cells is separated from the tissue underneath by this specialized, super tough sheet of ECM called the basal lamina. It's made of these unique proteins, like type 4 collagen and laminin, all woven into this incredibly dense and strong structure. This is it. This is the main vault wall. To spread, to metastasize, the cancer cells have to get through this barrier. And researchers have a pretty clear idea of how they do it. It's a systematic 3-step attack. First, attachment. The tumor cells latch right onto the basal lamina. Then comes the critical step, degradation. They start pumping out powerful enzymes to literally dissolve a hole in that wall. And finally, locomotion. They crawl right through the breach that they've created, escaping into the surrounding territory. The tools for this job are called proteases, specifically a group known as matrix metalloproteases, or MMPs. You can just think of these as the cancer cell's molecular scissors. By flooding the local area with these enzymes, the tumor cells literally chop up the protein fibers of that basal lamina, turning that strong, organized wall into mush. The vault door is officially melted. But a successful criminal doesn't just escape, right? They secure resources to fund their growing empire. So once they're outside the vault, the cancer cells start hijacking the body's own infrastructure.
Any tumor that gets bigger than 1 or 2 millimeters
needs its own blood supply to survive, so it performs this stunning act of biological manipulation called angiogenesis. The tumor releases these signaling molecules like VEGF that basically trick the body into growing brand new blood vessels directly into the tumor. It's like forcing the city to build a private, dedicated highway and delivery service straight to your secret hideout.
Okay, this is where the heist gets truly diabolical. The cancer cells don't just destroy the environment around them, they actually force the body to rebuild it in their own twisted image, creating express lanes for their invasion. This whole process is known as the desmoplastic reaction. What happens is the tumor cells basically recruit and corrupt their normal, healthy neighbors, especially cells called fibroblasts, which are the ones that normally build and maintain the ECM. They command these hijacked fibroblasts to start churning out massive amounts of collagen and other proteins, which makes the tissue all around them incredibly stiff and dense. And here's the genius part of the plan. They don't just create a mess, they create a new, weaponized architecture. These hijacked fibroblasts, they don't just dump collagen randomly. No, they arrange it into these stiff, linear bundles. And just like the quote says, these become super highways of aligned fibers. They're basically routes of least resistance that guide the invading cancer cells as they push deeper and deeper into the body.
So let's just recap for a second. The very system that was designed for structure, for stability, for protection, has been systematically corrupted. The ECM is no longer a security guard, it's the getaway driver.
This table really sums up the entire criminal enterprise beautifully. First, the cancer cells increase proteases, which leads to barrier breakdown and inflammation. Then, they increase the deposition of the ECM, causing the tissue to stiffen up through fibrosis. And finally, they alter the ECM's actual architecture, turning a random mesh into those organized invasion highways. And look, this isn't just a fascinating little story about cells. This is one of the biggest challenges facing humanity. According to the World Health Organization, global cancer cases are projected to rise by a staggering 77% by 2050. Understanding this process, this manipulation of the tumor microenvironment, is absolutely critical if we're going to fight back. Which brings us to our final thought here. The cancer cell's greatest strength is its ability to corrupt its environment. But what if we could exploit that very strength? If cancer remodels the ECM to build itself highways, could new therapies remodel it to create roadblocks, dead ends, or even traps? The future of cancer treatment may not just be about killing the criminal, but about turning their own corrupted hideout against them.